Okay, hi girls. So before I remind you what happened yesterday in class, I want you to do the do now on this side of this show. Okay, so the first question is, what makes someone trustworthy? Okay, and the second one is, how could someone prove that they're telling the truth? Like if I told you something and you didn't believe me, how would I prove to you that what I told you was true? And the final question is, if your classmate told you that Dr. Brand told him or her that you could miss class, what would you do and why? So let's say, I'm going to shout out some of you, let's say Zoe told Julia, like, oh, Dr. Brand just told me that we don't need to go to class today. What would you do if you were Julia and why? Okay, when you're done answering these questions, I want you to go to the back pages of the packet and read the article highlighting important information. Okay, so pause this video until you're done reading that article and highlighting the information that's important from it. Okay, so yesterday in class we were talking about how Ido came to Yeroboam to warn him about, the idols that he was building, and he went and told him a prophecy that the bones of the Kohanim would be spilled on the Mizbeach, and Yeroboam wanted to capture him, but then his hand got paralyzed, so he begged Ido to beg for him to be healed, and he was healed. Okay, so once Ido is done, he assumingly, heads back home. Okay, so before we go on to what happened in this parak, we're going to talk a little bit about a concept known as a navi sheker. Okay, so please read along with me. Among the many mitzvot contained in Parshas Re'eh is a description of the navi sheker, the false prophet. After correctly predicting and producing a sign or miracle, the false prophet then demands that his listeners worship a foreign god. The Torah's response to such a person is swift and uncompromising. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet, and that prophet shall be put to death, for he has spoken perversely about Hashem, your God, who has taken you out of the land of Mitzrayim and has redeemed you from the house of slavery, to cause you to go astray from the path Hashem, your God, has commanded you to follow, and you shall eradicate the evil from your midst. Okay, so for A, number 14A, what is a navi sheker? A navi sheker is a false prophet that demands his listeners worship a foreign god. So if a navi comes to you and says, I want you to do avodah zarah, it's not a real navi, it's a navi sheker. Okay, and what punishment will this navi get, which is B? It's that he'll be put to death. It's a very serious issue. Okay, but how do we know if a navi is real or if he is a navi sheker? Okay, so let's continue reading. A parallel section describing a true prophet appears in Parsha Shoftim. There we are commanded, Elav Tishma'un, you shall listen to his commands. From this passage, Sifri derives that even if a known true prophet commands you to violate one of the commandments of the Torah temporarily, such as Eliyahu HaNavi, which we're going to do later actually, did it Har Kamal, whatever, then you're allowed to do it. Okay, moving on to this bolded part. Performing a miracle only serves as a proof of prophecy when introduced by the prophet, predicting that it would occur. Okay, so if a Navi said, like Ido said, okay, Ido was a true prophet. He said, I'm predicting that something is going to happen to your house, Yeroboam, like all these Kohanim's bones are going to be killed and put on this house, on the Mizbeach. And what's my proof? I'm going to split the Mizbeach in half. Okay, so a true prophet can predict and also give proof of that prophecy. Now, I guess the final question is, why would Hashem allow a navi sheker to exist? And the truth is that it's really a test for Bnei Yisrael. Okay, it's a test that they should know who to listen to. They should know how to listen. They should know who's a real navi, who's not a real navi, and how to determine the difference. So that's the reason why Hashem allows navi sheker to exist. It's because we can pass a test like that. So Hashem, gives us a test because he knows that we can pass it. Okay, so that's a brief introduction to a navi sheker, because right now, coming up in the Psukim, is going to be the first navi sheker that we learned about in Navi. Okay, so Perek Yud Gimel, Psukim Aleph through Yud Gimel. Yud Aleph through Yud Gimel. Okay, so let's start with Pasuk Yud Aleph. V'navi echad zakein yoshev bebeit el. Okay, and an elderly navi was staying in Beit El. Okay. V'yavo beno v'yisaper lo et kol ha'maaseh asher asa ish Elokim. And his son came to him and told him all the things that Hashem had performed that day in Beit El. Et hadvarim asher diber al hamelech v'yisperum le'avihem. and the words that he had spoken to the king, and they related them to their father. So this guy is like is home, whatever. He's an older man, and his sons come and tell him all about Iddo and the prophecy that Iddo gave. Okay, and this man is interested. V'diber alehem avihem, and their father spoke to them. Eza derech halach, like which way did he go? V'yir'u banav et haderech asher halach ish Elokim asher ba mi-Yehuda, and his son showed him the road by which Iddo, who had come from Yehuda, had departed. V'yomer el banav, and he said to his sons, Chivshu li a-chamor, like saddle for me a donkey. V'yichbashu lo ha-chamor v'yirkav elav. Okay, and they saddled for a donkey for him, and he rode on it. So who is this person? This person is a navi sheker. Okay, he's not a true navi. He is about to tell like a really bad lie to Iddo, and it's about to get Iddo in a lot of trouble. Okay, so he finds out that Iddo is there, and he wants to go and meet him. Okay, and that's a picture of a liar. Okay, so where did he go in Pasuk Yudal? Navi sheker went to find Iddo, who was resting under a tree. And what does he ask him in Pasuk Tabav? The navi sheker invites Iddo to come back with him for a meal. Now, we know that Iddo is not allowed to go back for a meal, and I want you to write on the side why he's not allowed to go back for a meal. Because it's a place of avodah zarah, and he's not allowed to eat in avodah zarah, and he already told Yeravam that he's not allowed to go. Okay, he said Hashem instructed him not to go. So, navi sheker invites him, and how does Iddo respond? Not surprisingly, he says, there's no way I'm going to come to your house. Hashem gave me strict instructions not to eat in this place that is full of avodah zarah. Okay, so he says, no way, I'm not allowed to. Hashem said no. So the navi sheker responds, and he says, V'yomer lo, and he says to him, Gam ani navi kamocha. I'm also a navi, just like you. Umalach diber alai b'dvar Hashem, and a malach came and spoke to me by the words of Hashem, more saying, Hashivehu itcha el beitecha v'yochal lechem v'shet mayim, okay? Come back with me. He told me that I should tell you to come back with me and eat with me and drink water with me. Ki chesh lo. However, he lied to him. It was a lie. Okay? This should say Iddo went back to his home. That should say Iddo, he heard this and he said, okay, so I guess you're telling the truth because you're saying that Hashem told you to do this. So I'm going to go back with you. So Iddo went back with him to his home. Okay, what is the issue with this? Oh, to his house for a meal, sorry. What is the issue with this? If someone has a reputation as a true navi, you're allowed to believe him. But since this guy had no credentials, Iddo wasn't allowed to go against the Torah to listen to him. Hashem gave him a strict instruction not to go, and he totally disregarded that because this navi told him that Hashem said it was okay. Well, who is this person? This isn't a real navi. Look for the proof. Look for a prediction. Look for something that proves that this is a real navi. If you're going to disobey Hashem's command that easily, there must be some good reason for it, and this is not a good reason. Okay, so I want you to go back now to page, let's see what page it is. What page is it? My goodness. 7? Yeah, go back now to page, 4, I'm sorry. Go back to page 4 and fill in the title for this section and picture for this section. Okay, girls, have a good day.